PAC Capital makes further inroads into the Caribbean region, leveraging links established in Barbados, Guyana, the Bahamas and now Grenada, with the spotlights on the investment banking and advisory firms' expertise in capital raising, complex structuring and intercontinental partnerships. Hello there and welcome to this focus on PAC Capital's engagement in St. George's, Grenada on the sideline of the Afri-Caribbean Bank's Africa-Caribbean Trade and Investment Forum this year. I'm David Alabi. This year's side event pulls over 100 key players from development finance institutions to private equity and sovereign finance stakeholders. The Executive Director of PAC Capital, Bolariwa Sani, opens discussions with the firms driving ethos in the last 2 decades while describing the capital raising opportunities in the Caribbean region as a treasure mine.
My next year would mark our 20th year in business. We've been able to support businesses across Africa, and with the recent, inroad into the Caribbean market. In the last 5 years, we have been able to mobilize capital in excess of $10 billion for our clients across several sectors of the economy. We have live transactions in over 30 African countries, and we are still counting. And of course, the Caribbean market is also a promising market.
Insights on bridging capital gaps and market intelligence from previous Afri-Caribbean Trade and Investment Forums narrow down the need for collaboration to consolidate handshakes between both regions.
The conversation around collaboration is very important at a time like this as we begin to forge our alliance as partners in progress. If you look at the slide on the screen, you will see where we are today and where we want to be. Where we want to be looks so promising, but without the bridge in between, and from our perspective, from an investment banking perspective, we believe that where we want to be requires a number of interplay across stakeholders.
In the CARICOM region, we've been coming around here for some years now. This is about the 4th edition of the Active, and we have always participated actively, in those events over the past 4 years. What we are hoping to do is to be able to have solid inroads into, the market or into this region, basically, to support and assist businesses, corporates, and public sector institutions, in raising capital to aid the economic development and growth of the region.
Testimonials from recent big-ticket transactions highlight PAC's commitment to build on trust beyond just sealing deals, from Nigeria's NIMET's $10 million rights issue to a $443 million syndicated term loan and revolving working capital facility for Angola's Etu Energia's acquisition of new oil and gas assets.
The recent transaction that we did in Angola, working with Etu Energies as their financial advisor and fund arranger for the acquisition that they did in the oil and gas space. That has really helped the company to position itself as one of the leading indigenous firms in Angola. We worked on that transaction, mobilizing funding to the sum of $443 million. And that enabled them to buy out a foreign company that was exiting the country. That was a landmark transaction for them. And of course, like I mentioned earlier, it helped to reposition the company for the growth trajectory that they've set out to achieve for themselves. That is in the oil and gas space. One of the also landmark deals that we led as a financial advisor was the NNPC 3.3 billion deal that we handled just about 2 years ago. That happened to be one of the largest ticket size that NMPC did within the market. Of course, it falls under the prepayment type facility where barrels of oil were committed for sale to raise capital for the company. And of course, that was a huge and quite a success story. Another transaction that comes to mind, which I think was pretty much a landmark deal, not just looking at it from the ticket size, but from the impact and the creativity, forward thinking of the project sponsor, was the $50 million that we raised for the Lagos American Specialty Hospital. That deal was to part of the funding that was mobilized for the establishment of a hospital project in Lagos. Interestingly, it happened to be the first construction medical tourism facility that the African Export-Import Bank did within the market. We're able to break through that facility, being the first of its kind. And I think ever since then, we've seen a number of other institutions benefit from that product.
The fireside chart further unpacks the theme of the day, bridging funding gaps through strategic partnerships, and PAC Capital's role in unlocking financing opportunities in the Caribbean region with a focus on Grenada.
We have some prospect already in more than 5 of the Caribbean countries.
That's good.
I do say, if you look at, as we say, PAC, we want to be the preferred investment banking firm. It was said in Africa, but today we want to say in global Africa, and not just Africa as it is. Thank you. And we chose that to be preferred because sometimes we will say we want to be the largest, we want to be the biggest. If I am the preferred, automatically I can become the biggest because everybody will prefer me, right? And that is what our goal is. This, you saw the testimony for some of our clients, but I can tell you they are far more than that. Even banks are our client, right? So we raise financing from banks as well. We raise project lines, we raise credit lines, and acquisitions. So we've been involved in about 3 or 4 acquisitions of banks, within Nigeria and outside of Nigeria. For instance, Access Bank, which is one of the largest bank today in Nigeria, and of course, almost tending to be one of the largest, maybe going to top 5 in Africa today. In terms of expansion, who's doing aggressive expansion. 2 years ago, we had raised about $300 million for them to support their African expansion, and they've been doing acquisition. The other job we're also doing for them, which at this time is still premature. There have been banks like Union Bank that has been acquired. We had banks we work for in Senegal, in Congo, even in Ghana, and in Mozambique. So it is not just only other sectors. So banks who will say are the money people also come to us to provide, support them as well.
A Q&A segment touches on the thematic areas and the next evolution for PAC Capital in meeting financing requests while leveraging partnerships with multilateral financial institutions such as Afri-Caribbean Bank.
We have up to about 7 teams covering different sectors. Some teams covering like 2 or 3 sectors under them. For instance, we have a team that is dedicated to financial services, dedicated to the public sector and the capital market as a team. We have a team for trade, and we also have a team that covers real estate, hospitality, and healthcare. And the healthcare business. And also, just to also let you know, we have a team that covers, focuses on technology and the cultural and the creative industry, and I can tell you that not so many firms like us have that. So the team is diverse, and of course, as things continue to evolve, we'll also expand the team in the same manner. That's how we're structured at the moment, and also let you know, because, like I said, we're a global company. We have other competence within us. So we have French and English competence. So we do transactions in both Anglophone and Francophone countries. And because of what we are also doing inside in Africa, our focus is to have our footprint in the entire for several countries in Africa and also now today in the Caribbean. But we also know that apart from Anglophone and Francophone, we also have the Lusophones. And already we are already looking in that direction.
There's been a lot of demand for our services, and that continues to increase. And of course, seeing this year's event held in Grenada was also a clear opportunity for us to, as a first time, visit the country and see the opportunities for ourselves.
Okay, in the near term, we are hoping to have closed some reasonable transactions between now and the next 1 year, either in the hospitality and tourism sector, in the agro-allied sector. We see a lot of opportunities here, and we've been able to make some contacts, which we hope to develop and do transactions.
Today's outing highlights Afri-Caribbean's Manta digital platform promoting the adoption of an Africa entity identifier.
Why the AEI and why now? Because Africa and the Caribbean can no longer afford fragmentation in cross-border business. Because trust is the currency of modern trade. And the AEI brings that trust to life.
The conversations wind to a close with PAC Capital's commitment to providing capital-raising solutions and advisory services that drive impact in key sectors in Africa and the wider Caribbean region. Well, this brings us to the end of this focus on PAC Capital's side event at the 2025 Afri-Caribbean Trade and Investment Forum in Grenada. Many thanks for watching. I'm David Alabi. Bye for now.